The sharp clang of the shovel hitting the ground broke the silence of the afternoon. I spun around, startled, and my eyes locked on him. There he was, our gardener, standing tall at the edge of the roses, sweat sliding down his temples, his shirt clinging to muscles carved from hours of work. His hands, calloused and rough, flexed as if even the soil obeyed him. I gasped at the size of him, not just his body, but the way his presence consumed the garden, drowning out everything else. Suddenly, the air felt heavier, charged, like a storm was gathering between us. For a moment, neither of us spoke. He just looked at me, steady, unflinching, like he had been waiting for this exact second. My heart raced, my mouth went dry. I should have turned back toward the house, toward my husband, toward the safe, predictable life I had built, but I didn't. Instead, I stayed. My feet refused to move, my breath coming in shallow bursts, as though I wanted him to come closer. And he did. Step by step, he closed the distance until I could feel the heat radiating off him. His hand brushed mine, rough, firm, deliberate. I should have pulled away. I should have ended it before it began. But instead, I allowed it. And in that moment, standing in my own garden, I knew I had just crossed a line I could never step back over. My name is Elena, and if anyone had told me that I, the quiet wife, the woman who always followed the rules, would be standing here, whispering a secret that could tear my world apart, I would have laughed in their face. I've been married for 8 years. To most people, my marriage looks perfect. My husband is a good man, respectable, successful, stable. The kind of man other women envy because he provides comfort and security. But here's the truth no one sees. Security is not the same as love. Stability is not the same as passion. And a house filled with silence feels more like a prison than a home. Day after day, I woke up beside a man who didn't really see me anymore. His eyes were always on his phone, on his business calls, on the endless files stacked on his desk. When he looked at me, it was with polite affection, like I was another piece of the furniture in our carefully curated life. I used to tell myself it was enough, that I didn't need more, that a faithful, dependable husband was all any woman should want. But deep down, something inside me was starving for attention, starving to be touched, to be noticed, to be desired. And then he appeared. The gardener, the man who worked with his hands, whose clothes carried the smell of earth and sweat. The man who looked at me not like I was invisible, but like I was fire. And from the very first moment, I knew I was in danger. It started innocently enough. Or at least, that's what I told myself at the time. The first day he came to work in our garden, I barely paid attention. He was just another pair of hands, another worker my husband had hired to keep the property looking perfect. But then, I caught him looking at me. Not once, not twice, but often, and not in the casual way most men glance. His eyes lingered, like he could see right through me. At first I looked away, pretended I didn't notice, but inside my heart betrayed me, beating faster than it had in years. The days went on, and I found myself doing things I couldn't explain. I lingered by the window longer when he was outside trimming the hedges. I carried iced tea out on the hotter afternoons, telling myself I was just being polite. I asked him questions about the plants, about the soil, about anything at all, just to keep him talking. His voice, low, steady, confident. His hands, rough, steady, sure. Everything about him was the opposite of my husband, and that contrast both terrified and thrilled me. There were moments, fleeting, dangerous moments, when our eyes locked and I felt the world tilt. Like time froze, and it was just him and me, standing on opposite sides of a line I knew I wasn't supposed to cross. One afternoon, I leaned down to hand him a glass of water. Our fingers touched, only for a second, but that second lit something inside me I couldn't smother. My skin burned where he touched me. I pulled away quickly, but the damage was already done. From that moment on, the garden wasn't just a garden anymore. It became a place of temptation. Every flower bed, every path, every shadow of a tree seemed to whisper the same thing: you're not safe here. And yet, I kept going back, because deep down, I didn't want safety anymore. I wanted him. The first time he said my name, it was almost a whisper. Elena. The way it rolled off his tongue sent a shiver down my spine. No one had said my name like that in years. Not with weight, not with meaning. I laughed it off, pretending it was nothing, but inside my chest tightened. From then on, everything changed. I began noticing him everywhere. When I carried groceries in, I'd find him already near the driveway watching quietly. When I stepped outside with my morning coffee, he'd be tending to the roses, shirt damp with sweat, his body bent to the earth like it obeyed him. Sometimes when he straightened and caught me looking, he didn't look away. Neither did I. Those silent stares lasted seconds, but they felt like entire conversations I knew I wasn't supposed to be having. One late afternoon, I walked outside with a tray of iced water. My husband was away on another business trip. It was just us. When I handed him the glass, our fingers touched again, but this time he didn't pull away. Neither did I. My pulse thundered as his rough hand lingered against mine, deliberate, unhurried, the air around us grew thick. I finally pulled back, nearly spilling the water in my rush. His lips curved into the faintest smile, as if he knew exactly what he was doing to me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed the moment again and again until guilt and desire blurred into one. It was raining the next day. He should have stayed home, but he didn't. I found him standing under the oak tree, soaked to the bone. "What are you doing here?" I asked, half angry, half relieved. He shrugged, his voice low. "You looked lonely yesterday." My breath caught. Lonely. The word stabbed deeper than it should have. Because he was right. I was lonely, more lonely than I'd ever admitted. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My silence was already a confession. The tension grew thicker each day. One afternoon, he came into the kitchen to wash his hands. I stood by the counter, frozen, watching the way water slid down his arms. He reached for the towel beside me, his shoulder brushing mine. Just then, the front door opened, my husband's voice echoing in the hallway. I jumped back like the counter had burned me. The gardener's eyes met mine, steady, daring, before he calmly dried his hands and walked out as though nothing had happened. My knees nearly gave out from the terror and the thrill. A few days later, I found him by the roses again. I told myself I'd keep it professional, keep my distance. But when he looked up at me, I broke. "This is wrong," I whispered. His voice was calm, unshaken. "Then why do you keep coming back?" I had no answer, because the truth was unbearable. I wanted him. He stepped closer, so close I could feel the warmth of him. His hand hovered near mine, not touching, just close enough to make my skin ache. "Say the word," he murmured, "and I'll walk away forever." But I didn't say it. I couldn't. The moment came quietly, almost without warning. I was standing by the rose bushes, pretending to admire the blossoms, when I felt him behind me. His presence, his heat, the steady rhythm of his breath, it overwhelmed me. When his hand finally touched mine, I didn't resist. When his body leaned closer, I didn't move. I should have pulled away, should have screamed, should have remembered the vows I once made, but I let it happen. I let him happen. And just like that, the line was crossed. The garden was no longer just a garden. It was our secret, our danger, our sin. The garden was no longer safe. It was a battlefield between what I owed my husband and what my body craved with every stolen glance. One evening, as the sun bled orange across the sky, I stepped outside with a basket of laundry. He was already there, trimming the hedges. I should have gone back inside, but I froze. He looked up, our eyes locked. And in that single moment, everything I had been trying to suppress came rushing back. I dropped the basket, clothes scattered across the grass. My breath trembled and he started toward me. "Elena," he said softly, his voice husky, roughened by hours of work. "Do you have any idea what you're doing to me?" The words stunned me, because I had thought the same thing, over and over, but hearing it out loud made the ground beneath me shift. I should have run. I should have ended it there. But instead, I whispered back, "You think you're the only one?" His face hardened with desire, with something dangerous, and for the first time I didn't care about the consequences. That's when I heard it, the crunch of tires on gravel, my husband's car. Panic ripped through me. I stumbled back, grabbing the basket from the ground, forcing myself to look busy. The gardener didn't flinch. He stood tall, calm, his eyes still locked on mine, even as my husband stepped out of the car. For a terrifying moment, I thought my husband had seen it all. The tension, the heat, the silent conversation written across our faces. But he didn't. He kissed me absent-mindedly on the cheek, thanked the gardener, and disappeared inside. My hands shook for hours afterward. The near discovery should have scared me into stopping. But instead, it made everything worse. The risk only fueled the fire. That night, long after my husband had fallen asleep, I crept to the window. And there he was, still outside, standing in the moonlight, looking up at my window as though he knew I'd be there. The sight of him waiting for me, silently, shattered whatever was left of my restraint. The next day, I didn't fight it. I walked into the garden on purpose. I stood too close. I let his hand linger far too long on mine, and then I stopped pretending. I let him have me, not fully, not openly, but enough to know there was no going back. Enough to make the garden ours. I wasn't just a wife anymore. I was a woman caught in a storm I couldn't escape. I wish I could say I stopped after that day, that I came to my senses, shut the door, and never looked back, but that would be a lie, because the truth is, I didn't just let it happen once. I kept letting it happen. Again and again, each time swearing it would be the last. Each time falling deeper into something I could no longer control. When I lay beside my husband at night, my skin still burned from the gardener's touch. I would close my eyes, but I wasn't thinking of the man I married. I was thinking of the man outside, the man whose hands had left invisible marks all over me. And the worst part? I didn't feel guilt. I felt alive, but life has a cruel way of catching up to you. My husband started asking questions. Why was I spending so much time in the garden? Why did the gardener stay so late some evenings? I laughed it off, but I could see it in his eyes. He was watching me more closely now. One slip, one wrong move, and everything would shatter. I told myself to end it, to send the gardener away, to cut the cord before it strangled me. But when I tried, he wouldn't let me go. His voice still echoes in my ears. You don't want me gone. You need me. And God help me. He was right. So here I am, living a double life. By day, the dutiful wife. By night, or whenever I can steal a moment, his. But secrets don't stay buried forever. Someone will find out, my husband, my neighbors, maybe even the world. And the question that keeps me awake at night isn't if I'll be caught. It's when. Because deep down, I know this affair isn't just dangerous, it's deadly. That's my story, or at least the part I can bear to tell you tonight. The rest? Well, that depends on whether I survive the weight of this secret. Tell me, what would you do if you were in my place? Would you end it, confess everything, and burn down the life you built? Or would you keep the secret alive, no matter the risk? Leave me your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know what you'd choose. And if you want to hear the next part of my story, make sure you subscribe. Because trust me, what happens next will shock you.